My name is Courtney Weekly, and an issue that's affected me a lot personally since the realization of my identity is the issue of conformity, not just applied to beauty, but to every aspect of a teenager's life. So I decided to conduct an experiment delving into the mindset of beauty only being a form of conformity, and to try and prove, or maybe disprove, the idea that you have to look like everyone else in order to look beautiful. But before I did that, I wanted to try and find out what people thought beauty in its essence was.
What is beauty?
What is beauty?
Beauty is a cultural concept. I think it changes depending on the time. I think it changes depending on the place. And it's very difficult to get away from that.
Beauty is very dependent on context and on society, and people look for beauty only when they know it's out there, kind of. So people have to be spoon-fed beauty because we can't find it when it's not in the right context, which is a little bit sad.
Beauty doesn't really exist anymore. It's all photoshopped and edited, and even when you are beautiful, you're not really beautiful enough because society judges everyone on the regular level.
I think beauty actually doesn't necessarily come from the outside. If you think you are ugly, then you're going to radiate ugliness. And if you think you're beautiful, you're going to radiate beauty.
Beauty is just like a recipe of things that people are given, and then if something fits that recipe, people think it's beautiful.
Well, I suppose beauty is a type of conformity because what we see traditionally as beauty is what everyone goes for.
That's really what it is, I guess. In society, beauty is what everyone else is doing.
But what about those girls who choose not to follow, or find themselves not fitting in with the beauty standards society has set? How does society treat those people? And what stereotypes are attached to them?
People who dress mainstream are definitely treated differently to people who dress non-mainstream.
You see that even in junior primary school, even the foundation phase, you see these little cuties. So she looks like little Annie, therefore she's much more successful than the child that looks like a hatchling giraffe.
People say it's different, and people are scared of different.
Easier to accept conventional beauty. It's easier to see, it's easier to praise.
Some people think they're maybe not the most approachable people.
People that look different are labelled as something bad just because they look different, and that's not right. Why is your hair purple? That's still a question I can't ever answer because I don't know why my hair was purple. You just get like the old people death stares, and like other families don't want to like talk to you and stuff.
So people, like when I was a Sunday school teacher, came up to me and they're like, "What did you do?" And ice skating as well, some little girls came up to me and they were like, "My mummy thinks you're strange." And I'm like, screw your mummy kind of thing. Someone random came up to me and swore at me and like was like, "F you and your piercing." I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you," kind of thing.
You go to your matric dance with black clunky boots and black organza looking like something from the Addams Family. I find that amusing, but I don't know that teenagers find it amusing.
Alternative people get the worst because we don't care how we look, but we still get judged for it every day.
And at the opposite end of the spectrum, what about the stereotypes attached to girls who do follow the beauty standard?
They do it because that's just what everyone else is doing. That's a common thing. It really leave much of an impression on me.
Well, amongst people who don't follow the beauty standard, I think they thought of as mindless, as sometimes naive, as they don't know any better, as stupid. But I think by people who do follow the stereotype, it's obviously a lot different. If they follow it well, they're thought of as like role models, kind of beauty role models.
I'd like to see one of those girls that follow the fashion and wear heels and all pretty with their hair straightened. I'd probably think that they were going to go out and find a guy and do stuff to them.
More, I guess people think they can relate to them more. If everyone's the same, they relate with each other better.
I don't know, I just think they aren't really capable of thinking for themselves, like they can't really, or expressing themselves because they lack originality.
People who wear Mr. Price clothing, obviously, because they wear those type of clothing, they're seen as the norm and they're the normal type of people. Everyone thinks that they are normal.
If you're going to think of beauty as being a type of conformity, and about how as like ideas of beauty have changed, people have conformed to all those different ideas of beauty, then you can understand why people would see alternative beauty as less attractive. If it's like not what everyone's conforming to, then it's not beautiful.
So what I did was I came up with an experiment. For a week I would dress alternative, and for another week dress mainstream. This would be not only to discover the impact it has on the public, but also the impact it has on myself. These are my experiences. How do you think I look today?
I thought you looked beautiful.
And all the piercings and things I had in my face?
That didn't look bad.
Why don't you think it looked nice?
Because I like it when you're normal, not wearing pierced stuff in your face.
You look evil, you look gothic, you look like you're addicted to piercings, and you sort of look like a man worker with the boots, and yeah, you look like you're rocking it out.
Personally, I wouldn't get so many piercings. I think it looks different, but I wouldn't wear it.
How you look? What's your name, by the way?
Courtney.
Courtney looks very gothy, I think. Looks different, not like anybody else you would see in a JJ store. So I like it.
Okay.
Love don't sting like the Constantines, and I hear my kind in a coma freeze. I hear my kind in a coma freeze. Lonely, lonely.
If I could see Courtney in the street, I'd probably think she does hectic drugs. There's Courtney. I would probably think that she had enough and she was gonna steal my blood and then wear it around her neck.
I think you look very pretty, don't you?
I think you look red, Vicky.
Shocking, isn't it?
Well, it looks good, doesn't it? I mean, it looks better than other people because everyone else looks the same.
Yeah, it's tasteful. It reminds me of a sort of a gothic sort of situation. Reminds me of Old Burn. It's different, very different, but I wouldn't say ugly.
Do you think if I dressed more mainstream it would be more attractive than this?
No, I don't think so.
Don't make it look dodgy.
I can't help it! If you're pulling off that, then you need that plus sexy. So you can't just be goth and alternate and that kind of thing, but that's what it is, looking decent.
Okay, so do you think this isn't attractive?
Parts of it are, parts are not.
always known you to be more alternative and not so much like the norm. Yeah, it's just strange seeing you like this. You just look like everyone else. It's more acceptable, I guess, and no one looks at you funny. But it's just like, I don't know, it's not how I'm used to looking like. You look better the other way.
I think you look nice, but it's not you. It's not. It felt off because I know you. So yeah, if it was anyone else, I'd be like, oh, that's really cute. But for you, no. I think maybe I like it. It's just a look that would suit anybody. It's not necessarily something that you have to think about. It just depends on the people that you want to be around. Yeah. I think if you're associating with really mainstream people, it's it's really odd to just dress alternative. Yeah. And when you're like chilling with alternative people, it's really odd to dress mainstream. It just you never look right. Exactly. So I think it just depends on the people that you want to associate with.
Very pretty. She suits the girly look. She's wearing a lot of makeup. She still looks very pretty.
Do you prefer how I look now to how I looked last week?
Yes.
Why?
Very pretty. It suits you. The girly look suits you.
I suppose you can say this project started with a pair of boots. One day in grade 9 I wore my dad's old Air Force boots for fun, and after that I pretty much never took them off. And people started saying things. Why don't you wear pretty pumps instead? Oh, you can't wear a dress with those shoes. So I started wondering why anyone would think that my favorite shoes were ugly. One day I was watching TV with some friends when a heavily tattooed goth came on screen. One of my friends said she could be so pretty. It's just the tattoos that ruin it. Largely the results of this project have been what I expected them to be. What surprised me though was sometimes the level of acceptance I would find in individuals rather than the general public when I was dressed alternative. And what surprised me was the level of derision I picked up from the alternative crowds when I was dressed mainstream, although that should have been expected. Maybe I just had more faith in them than I should have. On my blog, I received only one negative comment from a very courteous Anonymous. Anonymous says, "Why do you find that looking mainstream was painful? Sure, you get the glares and the opinions, but if you had to go down an alternative method, I'm sure that people would be even more judgmental. Do you find pleasure in rebelling? Your incessant need to rebel is sad, and by always being non-conformative, you are actually conforming to the group of non-conformists. Of course you're going to get negative reactions when you dress all goth or emo or punk or whatever, because you look scary. Having holes in your face and wearing creepy clothes is not beautiful. It has nothing to do with society's beliefs. It's not beautiful because it's unnatural. Even little babies who haven't had time to be shaped by society cringe at the sight of people who wear creepy makeup and have a gazillion holes in their faces. They cringe or cry because these people look scary, not because they don't fit in with society. Why do you possess the constant need to rebel? You're constantly trashing mainstream people, many of whom are not conforming, but simply wearing what they like. It's a different fashion. You like to wear weird black clothes, and others like to wear happier clothes. Leave it at that. The part that made me the saddest is when she implied that looking alternative is ugly because it's simply unnatural, not because it's different from society. Is it really unnatural? How is dyeing your hair purple any more unnatural than dyeing your hair blonde? How is getting piercings on your lip more unnatural than getting piercings in your ear or in your belly button? And the commenter used the argument that mainstream people are simply wearing what they like. It's a different fashion. You like to wear weird black clothes and others like to wear happier clothes. It's a different fashion. Why is it so hard for people to apply their own arguments? I guess the conclusion is that there is no conclusion, really. There's no answer. As long as there's people, there'll be conformity, and as long as there's conformity, there'll always be very clear ideas of what is and what isn't. And as long as there are people who are and people who aren't, there'll always be beauty. There'll always be ugliness. There'll always be conformity.
I don't think I'll turn off the TV, telling us we never speak. I think that beauty is in the corner that's dying to make us see. So give me so static with a human voice underneath.
You talk about what you think. What do you think about what?
We can both get old-fashioned. We put the brakes in these fast wheels.
Thank you.
Oh, let's get old-fashioned. Back to how things used to be. If I get old-fashioned, you get old-fashioned